What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Combat Corner, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I am your host, Rudy Rodriguez Showmont. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave your comments. Folks, I'm excited because we have an up and coming fighter with us today. This is one of the things that we enjoy doing so very, very much is introducing fighters to you that you may not know enough about. But I can promise you, you're going to learn a lot about this young man as we go on. He is an up and coming BKFC fighter. Listen here, before we start, I want to jump in and give a shout out to the sponsor of our show, Natalie Lopez, attorney at law. When life hits hard, the law firm of Natalie Lopez hits back harder. She practices in the area of criminal defense and family law based out of Fort Lauderdale. You can reach her at 954-888-8833. That's 954-888-8833. You can also reach her on Instagram at Nat. That's NAT.guilty, NAT.guilty. She will continue to fight for you. Shout out to our sponsor, Ralph Sanchez Law. Ralph Sanchez Law is located in Miami and practices in the areas of personal injury, motor vehicle accidents, trucking accidents, wrongful death, premises liability, and any type of accident related matter. If you have been in an accident, please do reach out to Ralph's office today at 786 418 5796. Once again, that's 786 418 5796. Thank you to Ralph and his team for supporting our show. With no further ado, let me bring on the star of the show today. I got the one, the only JC Rivera in the building. Baby Hulk is what they call him. What's going on, my friend?
Man, I'm good. I'm blessed. I got the kitty cat in the background trying to get into the show too, man. Early on, you know how it is, man. But man, it's been a blessing to be a part of the BKFC, the growth, the company. Watching other people grow along beside me and growing ahead, and just watching the growth. Where it once was, where it's going, and I'm just glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me on thanks for having me on the show. Thanks for inviting me with open arms. I love the hospitality, and I'm just thankful and here to do what I love to do best, which is put them knuckles to some domes.
Man, how was your new year?
Man, New Year's, I'm gonna be honest, it was real chill. I didn't really do too much. I understood that 2024 and 2025 was very difficult years for me. Was the process of me being made and getting into the groove of becoming a professional fighter. We ended off with a banger. I'm now a professional, 2-0, undefeated. Had a knockout of the night. Fortunately. Everybody say hi to Beerus. It's like this is Tony Montana. He won't stop. But
Okay.
pretty much I just knew that I ended off the year well, thankfully, by the mercy of God. And I could do better though. Analyzing everything, going back to the drawing board, I'm doing my passion. I love to fight. Always loved it. It's an opportunity where I could turn now something that used to get me into jail into, a check. And I'm just excited, man. Like I said, analyzing from the board where I was, I know I could do better. I see the areas that I could do better. I have a great team around me. The gym that I'm currently training at has a bunch of different backgrounds, different fighters from all over. They treat everyone like family. I've been brought into there, and I really do feel like that's my family. And through it all, I'm just ready to start the new year with a banger. I'm ready for the BKFC to bring me back. I'm ready to, start off, hopefully, with another a win. I know that everyone likes to act like they can predict things in the sport. I'm not gonna be one of those fighters that has that mentality. I do love to fight, but I also know that this is a sport where one punch can change everything, and I'm not looking to be the biggest, the baddest. I'm looking to be the sharpest, strategic in there. I'm not looking to take blows like other people. I know, I understand that it takes sometimes you have to get some in order to give some. So I'm not naive to the fight world, but I don't want to give my opportunity over to my opponent if it comes down to a fight by a cut. So I understand that it's not about being all balls in this sport. It's about understanding technique, growing, understanding that the fight can be ended by one good punch, and it's just about being on your P's and Q's, you know. This is the sport where it's not to play. You really have to be on your shit. If you're not on your shit, you know, it'll show when comes fight night, you know, the ones who usually had their mind on the right path, did everything they needed to do. They're not like last year. As you talk about how my new year, last year I was drinking a little bit. This new year, I'm not gonna consume any alcohol. You know, I'm not a drinker. You know, when I
Hmm.
first started fighting, after the fights, celebrating with friends and family and fans, you know, you can kind of get lost in that. I'm gonna be honest. You know, as a new up and coming fighter who started from the bottom, I did get kind of lost in that in last year. And this new year, I want to keep my head sharp, you know, stay on track, understand that that win and that glorification is temporary, but those that understand the business part of it and want to grow with me for longevity, those are the people I'm gonna pay attention to, because I take this serious. You know, this is my life in there. I fight bare knuckle. One wrong punch can change my life significantly, my family's life. So I understand this is entertainment. I love it. I love the sport, but it's also very serious to me when it comes to the business aspect. So 2026, I look to reshape relationships, stay on the right path, and stay on track to becoming a world champion in the 125 division of BKFC.
Talk about your road to get here. I know you were in the prospect series, so you fought where people no one saw you fight except for the people from the BKFC, right? Pretty much, or a small type show, or how did that work out? Where you go through this prospect series, and now you're in the big show. You've got two fights that you've had this year. You beat Albert Inclon in the first fight via decision, and then you had, I mean, arguably the knockout of the year. I think there's a few guys that might want to have a debate with you about that. You know, maybe Lorenzo Hunt, you know, his knockout, and Mohawk Rodriguez and his knockout, but you had a knockout where a guy was standing against the ropes asleep. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, where a guy is just knocked out and he was like this on the ropes asleep. But talking about this year and your road to getting to this point.
So I started off with the prospect amateurs. I received a call from another BKFC fighter. It was like, "Yo, we had a fighter pull out from the prospects. You'd be great. It's in 2 weeks. You know, what do you think you're up for?" He knew how bad I wanted to fight previously. I met him at the boxing gym. I grew up on and off the gym, so fighting isn't new to me. I fought in the streets. Like none of this adrenaline rush, none of like the adrenaline doesn't isn't new to me. So I said yes. I started training. I was supposed to be, you know, the underdog, but I definitely went in there and showed my ass. Went to distance with one of their fighters who had a silver glove, sugar bird, just a bunch of accolades that goals that he's committed, him and his family they have achieved. I didn't have none of that. You know, kid gave me a good fight. Nobody could change the fact that I had power that night. And first round, it demonstrated that I had a lot of potential with my power, which is one of the reasons I was highlighted out of all the prospects. You know, 2 weeks, you coming in here, you're fighting a kid. They booed me. It was all the pressure was on me. You know, nobody knew about me, and I'm just taking the pressure on. I'm like, they about to find out about me when I go in there though. And I went in there, first round, I had it all in me. I was all ballsy. Man, what's up? What's up? I remember it like yesterday. I was talking shit to him in the ring. I'm like, man, what's up, bro? That because he didn't know, but I was watching him when I was training up to the fight. And then one of the videos for the promotion, he was like, I'm about to knock him out. I'm about to knock him out. And anyone that knows me, I don't like hearing that. Like, ain't nobody knocking me out, bro. Like, you gonna have to make me a believer, bro. Like, to put me to sleep, bro. You know what I mean? So when he said he was gonna put me to sleep, I kind of got in my feelings. I was like, I'm about to knock his ass out. So I kept my seriousness all A game through the whole way. First round was talking shit. I remember I slipped one of his punches and I threw a hard ass right. I threw it all I had, and it caught him. Come to find out at the end of the fight, I fucking knocked out his tooth, threw him off guard with fucking gloves on. So I knew that that was a, you know, I love, I'm cool with everyone. It is a sport where you become cool with them. But I knew at that point that they were like, yo, this motherfucker throws. So they gave me an opponent after that who you know, I didn't think he could really keep up with me, but it was a tester. He took the fight. I glassed him in the first round, hit him with one big punch. I seen that, you know, he was younger than me. I'm a humble fighter. You'll see that after the knockout when the guy was standing there. I could have kept dogging him in. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to give a good performance, give a good show, and be silent warrior. I've learned that being loud and I ain't trying to get turned into a meme. I'm trying to turn people into memes. So it's one of those things. Like I said, I learned that being humble in the fight game is the key to everything. I have power. They know that. They respected me. They gave me a chance. I beat Glass, the second kid. Didn't really. I seen him crying. Like I said, I didn't want to beat him up too bad. Seen him crying. I could have hit him again in the face. I just went for the body shot. Gave him a good body shot. Put him down. Won my second fight. My third fight, they gave me a strength and conditioning coach for Ada Valdez's gym, which was Verone Rodriguez. Nobody would really fight the kid. He's strong, trains well. She's a strength and conditioning coach. But I was really out to prove myself. I didn't have no coaches, nothing for that time. I was still living in Fort Myers. I took on the challenge, went to the distance, didn't win. I gave that fight all I had. The fight after that, I won by no, it wasn't by TKO because he got back up, I believe, or maybe he didn't. I don't remember. I don't think he got back up. I think I won my fourth fight as an amateur in the prospects by TKO, and then my fifth fight, I fought some kid and won by decision, but I dropped him, and I think it was the second or the third. I put him through the ropes and I just knew he didn't have it in him after that. And then I fought Albert. That's when I became a pro. Fought Albert, and then proceeded to fight what's this kid's name? I even forget his name. Zay Abomination.
So you had 5 fights in the prospect series. Hold
Yeah,
on,
I
I
had
got
five
I got
fights.
I got to tell my dog to shut up a second.
My cat's doing the same thing, man. He's acting lonely. Tony, Tony
Um,
Montana.
so you had 5 prospect fights before you got in the big call for the BKFC in front of everybody. I mean, what how fast were these fights? Were these fights all in 2024?
So I don't believe they were all in 2024. It was a buildup. That's another thing. I kept my foot on this. Like I was all over the staff there, all over Nelson, all over Sir. I was all over all the staff, messaging them. I want to fight. I want to fight. Like I dedicated myself to change my body to this, to that, to that. I want to fight. I'm not gonna stop. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I want to do. I don't care. And I just kept being persistent, persistent. When's the next one? When's the next one? I made it to all. I showed up to all of them. I didn't give a fuck. Whoever y'all got for me, I need to knock these 5 fights out. So I knocked all 5 fights out. Even through the company's stuff because they listen. BKFC is not perfect. I hate that everyone is supposed to think like every company is gonna be perfect. It's a
Hmm.
growing and the fastest growing combat sport. The staff, the company, they treat me with respect. I know that they're busy. They can't always get back, but I don't get in my feelings. I've received my bonuses. They worked with me. They've never ever left me like on a limb. BKFC has fulfilled their end of the bargain. I fulfill mine. Now, obviously, people always tell me, oh, they try to get in my head, but I don't listen to the outside noise. I have great relationships with the staff in this company. I trust the process. I know that they're not biased. They want to see everybody who really wants to fight their fucking ass off, give us a show, and get paid. So that's my mind right now is I'm just beginning. The pay's gonna get better, my life's gonna get better right now. I do struggle as a beginning fighter like any other fighter would. I'm looking for a job, trying to grow, looking for more sponsors, looking for people who will invest into me so that I can do this 100% of my time. But, overall, I'm going through the struggles. I'm rolling with the punches. I have faith. I do believe that I'm going to become the world champion of 125. Like I said, it's in my blood, and most people don't know. I am related to Miguel Cotto's second cousin. I have war blood. Austin Trout always commends me, gives me my respect. Same shout out to him, the champ. He's very humble. Shout out to all the champions who've kept it humble, who've helped me along the way, given me support, shared my things. It's not easy. It's not easy being a product of the company and being the one that, I shut the fuck up and wait. You got a lot of these guys get on the fucking internet, start running their mouth, trying to start stuff, trying to call out other fighters and stuff and I don't care who it is. This Glock ain't got no safety. I know that in these divisions, everybody be thinking that they're the king, they're the crown this. They think, they're gonna rule this, rule that. Listen, I'm quiet, but I'm letting it be known. I'm gonna conquer the 125 division for some time, then go up to 135, and I'm gonna end my career at 145, become a 3-time weight world champion in BKFC. My cousin was a 4-time world champion. I'm not gonna try to outdo him or nothing. And plus, bare knuckle's much different. I'm gonna go for a 3-time world champion, 3 different weight divisions. Once I accomplish that, we'll see from there. But right now, that's my goal. I don't care what anyone has to say. I have friends that are all in throughout these divisions. We all understand that at some point in time we're gonna have to fight each other. The money's right. Like I tell my friends, we all do believe and have this sense of respect for one another. That if it was to come to me and one of my good friends fighting, they're gonna have to pay us because this is deep shit. People don't understand how deep this goes. When you're a fighter, you train with certain people. Some people help you out and stuff, and then you're both part of the company. You might have to face each other. So I don't want to have any I don't want to have any negative input when it comes to my name. I'm humble. I love to fight. I'll fight anyone. I'm not scared. I've been around people. I've seen antics certain people try to do to try to read my body language, but I know they see, damn, this nigga not breaking. Yeah, bro, I don't break. I've been in jail, been around, prison bed. Has been around all types of people. So nothing really bothers me. I've been around cops, I've been in freaking, what do they call those, foster homes. I've been in Salem. I've been through a lot of shit. So there's not really much that can scare me. I'm just in this to be loving, chase my goals, become successful with this, and turn this into a legacy for my kids. It's hard to make it in this world. Most people don't know it's really easy, but it's really hard. You have to get through emotions. You have to get through certain alkalis before you can even think about certain things. And some of us make dumb decisions. I used to make dumb decisions. I'm trying to make better decisions. So this fighting thing really changes your life, honestly. It becomes a lifestyle. You learn to roll with the punches, not only physically, but spiritually, mentally, financially. It goes into, it applies to every aspect of your life. So I know that if I can still be in the ring, still fighting, and still have supporters and people that love me, that I still have a chance at becoming a world champion. So until I become like the villain of the world, I don't think I'll ever stop.
Yeah, let me ask. I mean, you brought it up. What did you go through? I mean, you're talking about you were in foster care. How did you? What was that like? I mean, if you want to talk about it or not, I mean, it's your
Yeah,
story.
so
What was
growing
that
up,
like?
I grew up. I was born in Connecticut. My mom and dad, they tried income Hispanic household. They tried with what they had. I ain't gonna take this away from them. Every holidays, any birthdays, we wanted an Xbox or something. It was 4 boys in the house. They'd get us one console for all of us. We'd share. We learn to share. Sometimes we end
Yeah.
up fighting. It's just a typical, Hispanic household. But my mom, she married my stepfather, who wasn't a very patient man. I had a lot of
Hmm.
issues and things like that growing up. I guess I was energetic. He was a very heavy set man. He didn't really do anything as far as exercise. Didn't really take us to any extracurricular activities. So I was a kid. I was a ball full of energy, and he didn't really know how to handle it. Would tell my mom that I was problematic and stuff. I needed to be on medication. So my mom, he got into my mom's ear, and they put me on medication growing up. Different pharmaceuticals. Just shit that it's just the system. I call it the system. The matrix is the system, and until you become aware of it, or at least you care enough about it, then it'll be like nothing to you, just like a line of water going down your, until you realize it.
Were you on ADHD medication like
Yeah, I
Adderall?
was on ADHD, Adderall, Abilify, Strattera, Risperdal. They had me on like crazy stuff that people shouldn't even be on. But it comes based off a systematic thing. It's you go to a psychiatrist or they put you in front of somebody. Oh, do you hear voices in your head? You're a kid like 6, 7 years old. I mean, you're not like 5 years old, maybe. I think the first time I seen a doctor was like at 5 or 6
At
years old.
5?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. They had me. My dad had me like,
That's crazy.
yeah, man. So growing up, I remember like fighting my parents to like I didn't want to take the medication. It got to a point where they were tricking me with my food, like putting the pills, breaking, like taking it out of the capsule and mixing it in my food, and it tasted nasty. I just grew up like I
Yeah.
said, bro. I grew up in a very, very certain way. I know it's not my mom's fault. I don't blame her. My dad was very pressured. I put pressure on her. I knew how he was, very mean, very very strict, old school. But I know that his dad, come to find out, growing up, hearing things about my dad and his testimony, his dad was like that to him. He would climb up mangoes trees in Puerto Rico just to get mangoes and go sell them. Like my dad got bullied and things. There's a lot of his own traumas that unfortunately came off onto us. But you don't learn that until you get older and deal with your own traumas and try to better your situation. It was never me. I had to realize that because I always thought something was wrong with me. And still sometimes I ain't gonna lie, still sometimes battle those thoughts. because
Hmm.
it's just it's just in fighting world. Everyone deals with these thoughts, but they had me on these medications, and bro, I promise you, I wouldn't want to take it. And I remember my dad one time forced me, like literally put me on my back, put his knees on my forearms, and put the fucking pill in my throat, and was like, take it. So it's like, he just didn't want to deal with me. He wanted me to be doped up to where I was like a zombie, not really talking, mute, tired, shit like that. And that's how I grew up, bro. In and out of hospitals, fighting with my dad. Not really my mom. I loved my mom. My mom will tell you, like, she was there for me. She tried it, but it's fucked up, bro. This life can be pretty fucked up. But like I said, in the midst of me going through these trials and tribulations, the medication would make me more. It would actually make me psychotic. That's how I see it. If you don't need medication or putting you on medication, expect bad things to happen. Sometimes I'd be quiet, sleepy. Other times I'd be like whacked out. And the times that I get whacked out, I remember I try to commit suicide. Being honest, I remember
Wow.
I'd grab knives and be like, I don't want to be here no more, and I try to stab myself or hurt myself, and my family would like try to prohibit me because I just felt like the problem. I just wanted to be gone. If I'm the fucking problem, I didn't ask to be here. I wanted to be gone. So that was my mentality growing up. And they would put me in the hospital and they'd hospitalize me. I'd be in the hospital in like a white room, like the shit you see in movies, swear to God.
Jesus
I'd
Christ.
be in white rooms. Doctors would come in. How are you feeling this morning? Like stupid shit. I'm like, I'm feeling good. I'm all right.
Wow.
Are you ready to go home? Like they would like, are you ready to go home? Like this shit
Wow.
was a system, bro. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And then one time I went to, I think it was like it was a village. It was some type of village in Connecticut, and I stayed there. It was like a foster. I remember there was a point where it was like my mom and dad didn't really want to deal with me, so they were trying something, and I was there for a couple weeks rehabilitating with other kids and things like that. Ended up, me and my mom had a really good relationship. If it wasn't for me and my mom, like being close the way we were, like she loves me, like I'm her baby. I'm the youngest, so she would always like, the pressure would be on her from people and stuff, and she just hold on and have faith in me and not really do me like that. She would never really let me like. She would never let them take me away. I
Hmm.
know that about my mom. She let it get only so far. You
Hmm.
know and that's why I thank for her for that. And my stepdad would definitely have favoritism. I had a stepbrother who I grew up with, who I didn't really get along with too well. um, my dad, when his son came over, would show favoritism, take him out to special places to eat, come back with like donuts, and be like, "Oh, what happened? What
Wow.
up? You ain't show us that love." Like my brothers will tell you guys about too. Like there's no lies in what I'm saying. So it's just certain unfair things that I had to grow up witnessing, seeing, And then I did meet my biological father at a certain age. And by that time, he says to this day that he didn't want me on the medication, that he would fight with my mom about it. But I remember I was like 6, 7 years old. My mom and dad, I think they were having like a yard sale, and my biological father seen my mom. He stopped, spoke to her. I remember I was in the shower, just showering, playing with fucking like little Woody toys. And my brother comes into the shower. He's like, "Yo, your dad's here." And I'm like, "I'm lost." I'm like, "Okay, my dad's here. Like, what the fuck?" He's like, "Yeah, put on your underwears. They want you to come down." I remember the underwears I had still to this day. Woody. I loved Toy Story when I was growing up as a kid. Toy Story was my shit. I put on my little Woody underwears. I think I put them on backwards and I fucking put threw the shorts on, ran down the stairs, ran outside, and like my mom and my dad were standing next to each other, and my biological father was in front of him, and my stepdad was like, "Yeah, this is your dad." He tells me that this is my dad, and I'm like confused. I just
Wait, so
looking
you
at
had
him.
you thought your stepdad was your actual father?
Yeah, growing
Oh
up,
wow.
I didn't
Wow.
learn that
Okay.
till about like 6 or 7. Then my mom tried to send me with my biological father every other weekend. Mind you, I was on medication. He wasn't fucking with it, and I wasn't fucking with him to adapt to it. Cause I ain't gonna lie, like, bro, my mom would let me go with him for the weekend. Bro, my dad, I ain't gonna lie, I woke up to my dad hunching. Like my dad had a 3 bedroom or like a 2 bedroom, like with a big living room. The living room was him and his wife's bedroom. Then the other room was my brothers and my cousins, because my dad was watching my cousin because his mom was like a crackhead or meth head, and parents was all messed up. So my dad was taking care of one of my cousins. So my cousin and my brother, my actual blood brother from my dad's side, was sharing a room, and then my little sister was sharing a room with the grandmother, which was in the other room. So when I came over, I sleep in. It'd be 3 of us in one room and stuff like that. And I just wasn't used to it. And I remember one time came out the bedroom at night, was uncomfortable, couldn't sleep. Went to go see my dad and stuff, and let him know. and he's hunching. Like, at a young kid age, I was exposed to a lot of shit, like the medication, running into things I shouldn't see, me getting mad, me running off. Like, I remember I tried smoking a cigarette at like the age of 7 or 8, bro. I literally picked up a fucking cigarette off the ground, fucking lit it, seen it was nasty, didn't want to taste it, but like, I was I was adventurous, bro. Like, my there was really no care for me. Like, I could, as long as I was home or in the parking lot or somewhere around the vicinity or where we lived, I was okay to do whatever.
So you mentioned, I mean, going to jail. What was that? What happened there? I mean, would you want to tell that story or
Yeah,
how that
so I
happened?
started getting incarcerated young. Like, I want to say my first time I was incarcerated was like 12, 14 years old, around there.
Hmm.
I had got into it with my mom and my dad over one of my first relationships. The girl had cheated on me. It was a very, very foul. How I found out, I felt very did wrong. One of her contacts names was Uncle. So the whole time she's texting this dude, I'm thinking it's the uncle and stuff. Codes. This was like young kids stuff, 12, 13, 14 years old, around there. So I'm like, thinking I'm like with the girl of my life and stuff. And then come to find out, when I had a homeboy who I had his number, and it wasn't my homeboy, just someone that I kind of knew. I looked in and I matched the numbers. So someone that I knew, she had him saved as Theo, like if that was her uncle. Trifling, bro. Like that was her uncle, and she was texting. And I found out about this stuff. And long story short, me and her broke up. I went kind of psych, did something I shouldn't have did, and then my dad got on my ass. Was telling me like, you don't do that type of stuff, and I was kind of mad. I'm like, what? Like, I was mad. I felt right. Like, if you a hoe, I'm gonna let it be known to everybody, man. You a hoe. That was just me when I was younger. I'm gonna let it be known because you did it to me. Now everyone knows. So that was my mentality growing up. So that's what happened. My dad got mad that was spilling the beans. He tried to like put down on me, and I'm like, this is my stepdad, the one that, mind you, when I was growing up, putting pills in my mom. So now I'm a little teenager, growing testosterone, now ball drop. I'm like, man, fuck you too, then. You know what I'm saying? I'll fight your ass too. That's how I was, because when it came to me, like, this my heart being broke. I'm doing everything right. And like, you siding with them, like, that's how I felt. So I remember
And
I
so,
told him.
so you got into a fight with your stepdad because
He
you were
started
upset.
defending the fact
W-
that I had,
w-
on Facebook, my relationship was public, so I went out by, I spilled, like, this bitch. You know how you go live and you start
Yeah,
ranting
yeah.
and start wilding, exposing stuff and shit like that. Well, yeah, that was me. I was being
And so
wild.
he got mad at you, and he got into it with you over that. That's
Yeah, he got into it with me because of what I did, though. It was on the internet. Everyone could see it. He don't like. He didn't. I wish he was my dad. Yeah, pops.
you wouldn't even been on the
That's how I
see. If
felt.
I was your dad, you wouldn't even been on the internet at 12 to 13
Oh,
years old.
hey, hey, all right, hey, fair game. Hey, that's the
But
type of structure we need. I would never
yeah,
know. I
yeah.
was wild like an animal.
Yeah, my kids. I mean, my son's 13 right now, and he's begging to get on TikTok and all that shit. I'm like, nah, you ain't
Mhm.
getting that crap, bro. Not in my house. Not as long as
Yeah,
I'm paying your
TikTok
cell phone
bad.
bill. Like, there's too many predators out there nowadays. These people that try to groom kids and stuff like that. I don't.
Amen.
I have nerves about that stuff, and my wife does too. But no, I mean the. So you got into a fight with him, and you end up in jail because of that.
Yeah, so I put my hands on him, and that's in Florida. It's called battery toucher strike. So at a young age, I was already receiving battery toucher
But did he
strikes.
put hands on you first?
I don't really recall, to
I
be
mean, he did. He
honest.
was holding you down, jamming a pill in your throat. I mean, at one point, but I
Yeah, yeah,
mean,
he does do that. Yeah, you gotta understand though. We live in a listen, bro. How I grew up was, listen. This is what my dad used to say, and I swear to word for word. Si yo te tengo que tú tienes que brincar, tú tienes que brincar. Meaning, if I tell you gotta jump, you gotta
yeah,
jump.
no, I understand. I
What
get
he
it.
says goes. That was his way of being. Like,
I get it.
it didn't. To me, it wasn't. It wasn't by choice. A lot of the
No,
shit
of
that
course.
happened to me wasn't by choice. I just try to, go with the life of flow. But at the age, when I bucked him, I remember, I forgot what happened. He did something, and I just put my hands on him. The cops had came. They called the cops on me. When the cops I had ran. So they had called the cops on me, and I had ran. I had bucked. I had ran from the house. Was hiding in the bushes. I remember the cops came by with the spotlight in the bushes and all, couldn't see me, anything, blending in. Well, I had told my brother, because I one thing about it, my brother Kevin, my middle brother, he hold me down, bro. I used to sneak out and stuff because I didn't want to be home, bro. I want to, like, man, fuck this house. I used to get mad. I used to get hated being home. Fuck this
Hmm.
shit. So I used to get up and I'm gonna go explore the world. There's people out there that might love me. So I used to get on my bike at like midnight, go to Veterans Park, go out there to the park, whoever was around the park and shit, court, fuck with them and stuff. But long story short, like, when I had ran, they called the cops on me. Later on that night, I proceeded to come back to try to get a change of clothes. I had told my brother open up the window. So he did not. I came in through the front door, you know, and I went to the room to go pack a bag. When I did that, my dad called the cops on me again, and was gonna call the cops on me. So I tried to jump out the window. When I tried to jump out the window, he was holding me. And they told my mom, call the cops back. Call the cops. When they arrived, I was already hot. He was holding me. My temperature was already through the roof. I turned around. I remember the cops saying, chill out. I threw up my set at the cops like I was finna fight the cops. All I heard was clear. Dude to pull out his taser and tase my ass. And I just folded up. The taser got me down. I remember screaming for my life because like a couple months before that, I had got a surgery for my appendix.
Oh God.
So that shit, my shit was all fucked up for some time because I had like just had surgery and they tasing me on my intestines and shit was all
Oh
tight.
Jesus Christ, man.
So I ended up going to juvenile jail, being in juvenile jail, stomach hurting, intestines, mad at the world for 21 days. While I was in there, this is a true story. I'm the first person in DJJ history to hack their system. All right? Hack their system. And I was on Facebook while I was in jail, man. I was in Facebook. I was the only juvenile. This is a fact. You could ask anybody. I was the only teenager at the time in jail in juvenile detention center that had ever had access to Facebook while being incarcerated. And I'm gonna tell you how. So while we was in juvenile jail, they had these little portables that we would still have to go do, take classes and stuff. And they have like these little computers that we would do stuff. I remember Miss Rose, she was so cool. Everybody loved Miss Rose. If you know anything, Miss Lovely, 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 sweet gumdrop Miss Rose. She was the sweetest teacher in the facility, man. She was cool with us. So when I got to her class, I remember that I wanted to get on Facebook, and I'm like, man, everything's blocked and stuff. Well, at the time before that, I was really into this game called RuneScape. It's a fucking online nerdy game. I wanted to play the game all the time, and I knew a way to bypass any security. I knew about proxy servers. I knew about certain commands and shit, so where you could bypass the security measures. So I'm sitting there, I'm certain websites was that I knew I was maneuvering through them, and I ended up downloading the proxy server and the server, basically where it opens up a client and it's an ex file that it basically bypasses anything that was blocked. So I bypassed their block, logged into Facebook, was talking my shit on Facebook. Man, I'm smooth like that. I'm on Facebook. Guess what? My mom calls the motherfucking juvenile detention center and says, "How is my son in jail?" And he's posting on Facebook. Swear, she called the police on me again.
Oh
So
my God,
how's my son on Facebook and in jail? I wish my mom would could co-stream on this because she would
bro.
tell you bro. I swear to you. I remember I was in class, right? I'm thinking that I'm telling her I'm helping all my homeboys get on Facebook and stuff, right? Yo, white shirt. We call them white shirts. They're the highest superior staff in the
Yeah.
jail. The white shirt come through, you come here, tells me. At that point, I'm like, fuck. I already knew what it was. When he come outside, he was like, your mom just got done calling us, telling us that you're in Facebook. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna show us how you did it, and I'm gonna talk to you about it after. So I showed them how I did it. They let their fucking whatever, whoever handles their security, they blocked the proxy servers. They bro, listen, there's always a way around, but they blocked them. And I remember that when they blocked it, they had Pete. There was another white shirt named Pete there. He called me to the office after they blocked it. He was like, "You're gonna be in confinement for 3 days, and I hope you learn your lesson." So for I was in the little, they have like a confinement cell where it's just you. You know what I'm saying? They held me in there for 72 hours. They let me out, but yeah, that's all that happened. It was a lesson though. Like I was listen. I got a good mama, man. My mama always wanted me to do good. You know, she's a good woman herself. You know, we all got things that we gotta deal with in life. That's why I say I don't blame my
Did
mom because I know at the end of the day, her intentions was always good. She just wanted me to be a good kid.
did anyone ever? I mean, when you're listening, I'm hearing this stuff. Like I'm hearing a guy who's smart and he doesn't seem to know how smart he is. Like you're a guy who's intelligent. You know, understand how to navigate proxy servers in jail and get and obviously you have computer knowledge. Did anyone ever talk to you about going to computer tech school or computer programming school or something like that, or was it always that because of the situation, no one would ever sit down with you and say, yo, we have like you're a bright kid. I mean, you're a kid, so you don't even know what you're doing at the time, really. You're just doing it.
Yeah, I'm just
But
doing it.
you're just doing it. And but that's skill that like you ask any other person, come hack this juvie system here, like wouldn't even know where to begin. And you're
Yeah.
just doing it. I mean, did anyone ever talk to you about stuff like that, or was just the life that you were living? I mean, and how people they didn't understand it. On top of that,
So troubled kids always their resort. The people, the teachers and stuff don't want to deal with them. They put them in front of
hmm
computers. The Florida system is based off FCAT testing computers and stuff like that.
yeah,
So growing up, I was always like I told you, I was always on medication. Always in certain. They always had computers around me.
yeah,
So the only game, and my brothers grew when I was with my brothers, they grew up playing RuneScape as well, which RuneScape
yeah,
is a game. It's based upon the real world. It's a medieval game where you can do fire making, go cut wood. Like it's based off real life, things you could do off real life, and you level up. The max level that you can have for each skill is 99. And then you have a max combat level of 126. So as you play the game and you do certain accomplishments and alkalize, your level goes up, your bank goes. You have a bank. You have actual GP gold items and stuff like. It's like a little mini real world.
yeah,
So growing up, my brothers would play that shit, and I played too with them. We all had our own accounts, and we would all rotate. We all had 1 hour, a 1 hour rotation. We would all rotate our hour playing RuneScape. So that alone, that addiction of playing that game and me feeling like that was my freedom, I was able to text people like normal, like, "Hey, what's up?" And the other person on the other could talk back to me. So I was always interacting with people, but never physically, always virtually, since a young
hmm
age.
yeah,
Um, so that alone, like that addiction right there, knowing that, having that, to me always was like that's something that I would always want access to. So the want to play the game and the only fact that I had 1 hour at the house led for me to do research to figure out how to bypass and stuff like that because I wanted to play at school. So I
okay,
researched at home how to bypass it at school. So for my hour for some time so that I could level up and get past my brothers and stuff like that, I learned how to bypass the school system so that I could log in at school and while I'm at school and everybody fucking nobody gave a fuck, I'm gonna be fucking training my account. So I
hmm
was training my account, I was playing the game, and that alone is what led to that door opening. But people did ask me growing up, did I want to do computers and stuff? But school was like, me and school had such a negative, like,
hmm
the way when look at school, I tie it to a bunch of negative things.
yeah,
So when people talk to me about school, time, sitting there, and I know that the reality is the only thing that's important is understanding the function, understanding what the function does and how to do the function and the repercussion of a function. I don't need to be getting fucking brought into all this bullshit and being strung along, lollygag, wasting time. I didn't want to waste time. I
hmm
always wanted to learn things that were effective, like reading this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Haven't finished it, but like creating cash flow. Like I've always wanted to do things and be effective. And it started off in the virtual realm, I remember
hmm
I was playing RuneScape. I learned about fucking getting scammed when I got scammed my first time. Dude told me drop your rune kite shield. I'll pick it up, trim it with a gold bar, and I'll give you a kite shield G back. Where at the time you could trim your armor in RuneScape. You have shields, swords, and shit. So you had regular armor, and then you had T like trim, or you had G, which was gold trim. So I remember at the time I wanted to grow trim kite shield and plates and shit. So there were people like grown ass people that didn't want to spend time getting the GP and stuff, and they just sit there with the auto typer. Oh, drop your shield and I'll pick it up and make it gold and trade it to you. So people that didn't know, kids were all over the world, didn't fucking know. They wanted this shit. They were dropping their shields, and these grown ass people were picking up their shields, logging out, going to another world, doing it, and just racking in. Like it's just a fucking crazy world. And through that little world, I'm gonna be real. Through the virtual world, that's what sparked everything for me. Learning, realizing the corruption, spending for myself, like learning how to read people, learning how to do quests. Like in that game, in order for you to do a quest, you have to do everything from start to finish. And when you complete that, it says quest completed, and it gives you quest points. Sometimes you receive items, XP, stuff like that. So I learned it's like goals, that's like setting a goal. Okay, you started it, now you gotta finish it. So
Mhm.
that game was a lot of the things to my life are very applicable. I didn't do computer because, like I said, I felt like I mean, how far could I go with it, and how much time would I really dedicate myself to something that I didn't love it like that. I didn't
Mhm.
love it. That's really why.
Yeah.
Like I liked it. I liked it. I'm interested in knowing. It's cool to be able to bypass some shit. It's very important. You might need to bypass it for. But ultimately, I didn't really want to dive into it because it's a very dark world, bro. I mean, once you learn something, it's like knowledge. The Bible speaks about this. Once you have the knowledge, it weighs. It's like gold. It weighs. Can you take the weight of having the knowledge on you?
Mhm.
And I know, like I said, if I get so smart, or I could fucking become a millionaire, just being honest. If I could get so smart and become a millionaire and it's just not something I wanted to play with. Like I said, I know the good and the bad. So it's just a world that I stayed away from it because
Gotcha.
you
Gotcha.
could get in real big trouble getting all tech smart and thinking you know everything. Like,
So you deal with this. Did you ever go? Did you go back to jail again at any point? I mean, or like as an
yeah. So
adult?
after juvenile jail, my first incarceration, I went a couple times after that. It became like a normal thing. I think I went like 4 or 5 times. I was getting into fights like crazy. Like it was just a normal. Me and my dad would get into it, call the cops, go to jail. It
Jesus
became
Christ.
something that it was normal. It became repetitive. And then like I went 4 or 5 times as a youth. After that, I was like, fuck this shit, because there was at one point in time they were gonna send me to a program,
Hmm.
which was like where they ship you off for like a year, and you gotta go live on this facility. I was like, man, listen, I ain't finna live with no other kids that think they bad like me, because it's about to be murder, and it's like that's the way my mentality was. So I tightened up. I said either I'm gonna be a jail baby for life. Like this is my life. I'm gonna fucking fix it and start doing better. So I started fixing myself. I started trying to do better at a teenager year. That's I would say around like 15, 16. I started to mature, but still the lively things, were still happening because I ended up I was going to school at the time, getting kicked out of schools, bouncing from different schools and stuff like that, and it ended up getting to a point where I went to Job Corps. I
Hmm.
couldn't find no school that worked for me in this area. Got expelled from like 3, 4 different high schools, middle schools, just any school I was a part of, except for one school, but they don't expel or suspend anyone. This is like the baddest school of Fort Myers. It's called Royal Palm. They're
Uh-huh.
not the baddest kid, bro. There's just so many kids misunderstood there, bro. Like people don't understand that shit, bro. They're not bad, bro. They're not. A lot of the kids there aren't bad. I'm telling you.
Hmm.
So like, I went to that school. Um, I ended up I couldn't graduate that school and go to a normal high school, and I really just didn't like that school either because it's like it was a waste of time, bro. I'm just literally coming to school every day, sitting down. These kids are bad. The teachers are dealing with us, but they're just dealing with us to get a paycheck. There's really no evolution there. I just felt like I was in a matrix. So
Hmm.
my dad was like offered it. My stepdad was like, you need to go to a trade school. That's what you need. So I took him up for it. I was like, you know what? I'll go to Job Corps. Fuck it. I heard
Hmm.
good things about it. I moved out of my mom and dad's house, moved to Job Corps. I was living on campus. Was at Job Corps for some time. Ended up getting my baby mama met her there, got her pregnant there. My dad ended up having cancer, passing away while I was enrolled. While I was still in dealing with Job Corps, my girl was pregnant. She graduated, and when my dad passed away, that's when I really spiraled downhill. It was weird, bro, cause my mom, she had went kind of left a little, she had her own battles to deal with and things like that. Things at home weren't the way they should have been. A lot of weird shit was going on at home. Um, Even me, I began to use drugs, cause my dad passed away. I became a heavy drug user. I was on drugs for like a year or two. Lost myself. Everything was just bad, bro. Everything was just bad. Lost the ex. She was on drugs. It was just really bad, bro. Just on the run. just crazy, crazy timeline of just ups and downs, just trials and tribulations. You know, the Bible speaks about this stuff, just going through really bad things. And then I want to say I turned myself in like 2022, 2023, or no, not 2022, 2023. Oh, 2018. I'm tripping. Like 2018, I ended up turning myself in because I was on the run. So I was on probation. I was on probation for some. So I was with a girl, the one that passed away. I was with a girl. Her and another girl that I.
Wait, the
So
girl
that girl,
passed away too?
yeah, ex of mine. She's ex.
Okay.
She passed away. So I
Okay.
was with a girl. That girl wasn't really doing me right. Why? So we broke up. Me and her broke up, I met another girl. I was with that girl. Took that girl serious. That girl was like I said, on it with me and stuff like that. And pretty much, how can I say this, bro? She went to jail,
Hmm.
and before she went to jail, she did some stuff. That's her business. May she rest in peace.
Hmm.
But I found out about it. Didn't want to no longer be with her. So while she was in jail, I ended up going back with the other one. And basically, the other one though was still talking to her baby daddy and stuff, which I ended up finding out. So it was just very messy, sloppy. Just didn't want to deal with none of that stuff. Um, I was just going, just living life at that point. I didn't care about relationships, man. I'm just living me, doing me. I don't care at this point. So
Hmm.
the ex gets out. Once the ex gets out, I gave her a chance. I ain't gonna lie. I give her a chance. She gets back with me. Now, mind you, the girl that I said the first one that I started talking to, but she was still talking to her baby daddy, she lived right next door to me where I lived,
Hmm.
literally neighbor. So it was kind of hard to evade her. And when she got out of jail, she came back over to deal with me, and I was with her. And the other girl had texted me, and the girl that got out of jail texted her, "Oh, he's with me now." So the next day, the girl that lived next door came her and her was about to fight, get into it, was making noise in front of the house. The girl was outside, and the one that got out of jail was smoking outside. And basically, long story short, the girls got into it outside of the house, bro. They started fighting over me in the front of the house. So I run outside. I'm trying to break up this stuff, but the one that lived in front had already premeditated this shit because she had a couple friends with her. She had a couple guys with her. For me, like they were ready. She wanted to wobble up. So the fight ended up happening. Blah, blah, blah. That girl and me ended up going to jail because when the fight happened, the girl that lived across the street tried to run us over with the car. So when she tried to run us over with the car, I threw a brick at the car and jumped out the way. So because I threw a brick at the car in Florida, they call it firing a missile into a conveyance. So I got charged. The police come, ding, 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 knocking. I'm like, nah, man, I ain't coming outside. You know what I'm saying? She's like, you need to. We got witnesses. Da, 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 da. I was on probation at the time, Deputy Keppin. My probation officer is like, John Carlos, you need to come outside. Don't make this bigger than it needs to be. I'm hearing her. Mind you, the girl from jail, she's in the bathroom. I'm trying to get her to come out. Like, look, we need to go outside and deal with this. This girl's in the fucking bathroom doing drugs, like getting ready to go to jail. At the time, I didn't know that. Getting ready to go in, it's packed up, ready, and everything. So I'm like telling her, like, open the door, open the door. Fine, she opens it, boom. We go outside. I'm like, look, we need to go outside because that's my probation officer. Her fight, I didn't expect this to happen. I'm on probation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They, so I'm coming outside so I'm on probation. I'm like, my probation officer is here. You gotta go outside now. Like, you're gonna throw me? I'm not going to jail. So long story short, I'm sitting outside. My probation officer puts handcuffs on me, on her. They're doing an investigation. I don't know where this witness is that they pull out of the sky, but supposedly a witness saw everything, wrote a statement, said that I threw a brick. They charged me for it, and that's what I had got put on probation for. Well, I was out on probation. When my dad and all that stuff had passed away, I was on probation for that. When the whole job course stuff, or like that's what I'm saying. The timelines is crazy. When you're going through life, when you're going through it, you just going through it, bro. Like you're not keeping track of no timeline events. You just going with the flow. Like, all right, this person's dealing with me today. This person's dealing with me tomorrow. Like you just going through life.
When did it switch for you?
All this, the mayhem really stopped for me when I want to say I lost my second child. So after like
Jeez.
after 2022, I started to really calm down. After that, after I turned myself in, released and stuff like that, I want to say around 2020 is when I started to really calm down and change. You know, I was in the streets a little bit. I had met this girl, got her impregnated. That's my second son. Um, I kind of wanted to do things right because I had my first son. I knew that I did things wrong. You know, I got her pregnant in Job Corps, was young as fuck. Didn't have no guys, didn't know what I was doing, didn't have no plan, nothing. Just young and dumb, full of cum. Got her pregnant. You know what I'm saying? You know, I tried my best with my son. You know, being there, but we were both so young, and at the time she's Mexican, and I was living crazily, and I was sending threats to her and stuff like that, like about her grandmother and stuff like that. So she had every reason to be scared of me because I'm like, you over here playing with my jit and my family. You play with my family. I was threatening her like, you play with my kid. I'm don't play with my family because I'll play with yours. So she got fearful of me because I was saying if she did anything with my kid and stuff like that. So then, she ended up, when I turned myself in, my first baby mama ended up moving out of Florida. She had let me see my son before I turned myself in. And then that was the last time I ever saw her or my son. She moved, from what I hear, she moved to Texas. So she lived in Texas. She got remarried and stuff, and I'm trying to get my life together, and get my finances and things together so that I could get my kids back and be a part of their life because I want to be in my kids' life. It's just the way that everything had turned out. I didn't expect it to go like that. So after my first son, losing him, living crazily, thinking life was a big game and joke, I had my second one. And when I had my second one, I had kind of my head on my shoulders. I had a little detailing, a plan in motion. I was customizing, cleaning shoes. I had a little business going. I was, hustling here and there, and I felt like I was getting better. I wasn't involved in craziness. I started to focus on money, cash flow, and things like that. And me and her was dating for some time. Her and her family had issues. We was good, any trials and tribulations. But then when I had at one point in time I was living with my in-laws, with them at the house. There was a lot of things going on, a lot of good and bad. And long story short, her father and her mother got into it. We were there. I kind of involved myself in the altercation between the situation. Cops got called. He got put in jail. I stayed at the house while he was in jail. He couldn't come back because him and his wife had got into it. The cops wouldn't let them go back to the same address. So he was living with his daughter, and I was there, helping maintain whatever I could, just caring for whatever. And then one day, he came back to his house, and he had called me a bitch or something. He had disrespected me. And when he disrespected me, I just, I wasn't going for that. Like, oh, now this is what it's gonna be. So he disrespected me. I said, I'll leave your fucking shit right now. I'll go get a motherfucking U-Haul, fill this bitch up, and I'll slide, right? Got a U-Haul, loaded it up. His daughter wanted, she's pregnant with my kids. She wanna come with me. So she ended up coming with me. And I remember I got a hotel. I got receipts of this shit, bro. I lived at the in-town suits, bro. I was hustling every fucking day trying to figure this shit out. I was living in a hotel, paying every day, trying to figure it out. And that's when I want to say I learned how to really, really start to be a man and try to provide. And that's when I said it wasn't a joke. Providing my girl pregnant. She has her daughter. We can no longer live with our in-laws. I don't live with my mom because like things was crazy. So I had to really put on my big boy pants, take risks, not give a fuck, and do what I had to do to get them bucks. Was doing that. I was living in a hotel. We would get help from, God bless, like God would send individuals sometimes. Certain months were crazy. Like, "Bitch, we ain't gonna make it this month. Here's, this is for 2 weeks. Like we would get
Hmm.
blessed, a couple times. So it was like that for a while, bro. I have all the receipts still to this day from my testimony, like all the in town suits, $1,800 a month, bro. That shit ain't no joke when you trying to.
Hmm. Yep.
So I ended up making it for some time. We got our first apartment in Pine Manor. When I got my apartment, I was streaming. Everything was good. Everything was going good. But this is the thing. What I realized when you doing good and bad, it don't mix. I was doing
Hmm.
good and bad. If I'm being real with you,
Yep.
and the bad started to overtake the good, like rotten, and I started losing respect for my baby mama. I started getting, violent, loud, and it was just real bad. It became a toxic home. So much stress on me. Not really, the communication wasn't there on both. I felt like I was doing a lot. That I took on. I feel like I had took on a lot. And I wasn't asking for much. I was providing, and I just felt like I said it was a really hard situation for both of us. We're both young parents. I had a lot of anger, a lot of things that I had to deal with, personal stuff. She had her things to deal with, and long story short, we got into a fight, and that was the last time I had seen her because she was done. She was, and she got up, fled after the fight. Pretty much like we fought, and after the fight, I remember I got in the car and I was so mad, bro, because I'm just like, damn, bro, she don't understand me. Like I'm going to the dispensary to go buy some weed or whatever to go, just smoke and try to calm my nerves away from her. And when I returned to the house, she wasn't there. So that was a really shocker for me. My second baby mama, my second kid. I'm thinking everything. I'm doing everything right. I have the women. Yes, not all perfect and gravy. Bills are paid though. We got a car. We don't ask nobody really for nothing. Like everything's all good. I wanted to build a business, but when that fight happened, boom, came back home. She was gone. I remember I went to go drive around the neighborhood. Maybe she took a walk. I drove around the neighborhood. I seen like some police on the backside of my house. On the other behind my house, there was a house at their house. Didn't think nothing of it. Then when I'm driving away, a police officer gets behind the car that I'm in, follows me. I do a U-turn. As I do the U-turn, the cops like now we're like I'm facing that way, he's facing this way. Ask me, hey, can I speak to you? I'm like, now I'm like, what the fuck? Did she like in my mind? I'm like, what the fuck? She called the police on me? I'm like, for what? Like, I'm like, yeah, you could talk to me, but at my house. So I remember that the cop followed me to the house. I got to my domicile. I get out the car. I'm like, hi, how am I help you? It's like, you got into an altercation with your girl or something? Can you tell me about? I'm like, I ain't getting into no altercation. I left, came back. She wasn't here. I'm not incriminating myself for nothing. So she kept pressing me to try to get me to. I'm like, nothing happened. We got into a verbal argument. You know what I'm saying? I left and I came back. She wasn't here. You know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah. And long story short, they just left me alone. So I just, I'm like, I was shocked by that. So I'm like, man, I'm finna go in this house and rip this shit real quick. And now I'm fucking stressed out. What the fuck's this girl got going on? So I go inside, smoke, boom. So I remember coming outside. I'm like 30 minutes right by. I remember coming outside, just waiting for her to return. Nothing. So I'm like, they was on the backside. I'm finna go over there and see what's going on. So I get in the car, drive over there. I look at the cops. I'm like, hey, is everything okay? Like, is my son here? Because I was worrying about my kid. I'm like, my son here? They were like, yeah, but you can't. She doesn't want you. She doesn't want to talk to you. I said, okay, officer. I said, I'm not. She don't have to talk to me. I just want to see my son. I want to make sure my son is okay. Make sure he's good. All right, but you're not. I'm like, listen, I'm not here. I'm not gonna argue with her. Nothing. I'm just trying to see my son really quick. So I remember he's like, all right. So he let me get out. He rolls down the window, and I see my son through like the bars. And I'm like, hey, Poppy. And I just look at her, and she giving me like this fuck you smirk, like this look. I'm just like, damn, like, bitch, you called the police on me? Like, it was that serious? And then, you know, after that, I go home. I see my kid. I was calm. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just wait for him to come home, wait for them. Hours passed. She didn't came. She ain't nothing. So I go back to the street to see if the cop gone. I'm like, yo, what the hell? All right, now she got my son. Like, what's gonna happen now? Like, what? So I like, let me calm down. So I called up the police department. Like, hey, listen, this altercation. I think something happened. I'm just trying to see, what's going on. They had my son with her. Oh, they last dropped her off at the library. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go all the way downtown Fort Myers library and I'm looking for, her and my kid. Nowhere to be found. I'm like, you know what? I ain't gonna play these games. I'm gonna just chill at the house, let her calm down. When she's ready, she'll come back. Boom. Sat down at the house, waited, nothing. Mind you, there was Father's Day weekend. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just wait till Father's Day. I'm gonna let her have time. That's gonna be
Hmm.
the ultimatum. When Father's Day come around, she gonna let me see my kid. Bro, Father's Day comes, I could not see my kid. Then the next month, I think 4th of July was coming too or something like that. It was something like that. I wanted to pop fireworks for my kid. I had called the police civilly because I had an idea where she was. She was at her parents. So I went to this Hardee's down the street. I said, I'm gonna call. At that time, I had hired a lawyer. I forgot to say that part. I had so 2 weeks. So Father's Day, she didn't let me see him. So at that point, I knew she was gonna she was being really petty. I didn't want to play no games. Let time go by. I went downtown to the clerk of courts and I filed paperwork myself. for rights for my kid and stuff, just so that I could still get the process going. Cause I was assuming if she not contacting me, I can't hear from her or nothing. I have to submit for my kids at this point. So I went downtown, filed for rights to see my kids by myself, not knowing you could go see this hand letters all bad and stuff. Just doing whatever I can. So boom, I filed the paperwork. At that point, one of somebody I had knew, his name was Matt. He seen that I was going through it, and he knew how much I love my kid. He seen everything that I. He was like, bro, listen, I'm gonna give you the $1,500. You need to go give this to a lawyer and get your retainer and stuff. Right after I filled out the paperwork. So I went, the money that he gave me, I took it to a lawyer, paid them the retainer fee, and I still owed them money. So he gave me the initial deposit fee to retain the lawyer and get them started.
Yeah.
So boom, I hired him, got him started. So now I'm like, okay, Father's Day I ain't get to see him or nothing, but now I got a lawyer. I'm gonna just do things the right way. I'm gonna wait. Boom. So time going by, lawyers. So I received a paper from when I filed the paperwork myself, and it said it was an electronically signed thing by the judge, basically stating that he recommends me and her be civil, work with each other until we reach the courtroom together. So I thought that that was something that I could use to show the police and say, look, I'm trying to civilly see my child on fire on to pop some fireworks on 4th of July. He's a baby, this is something I would like. Can you just go down there and try to see if she would live civilly, let me see my kid, like you guys in the middle? The cop was like, this is not what that means. That like he started being real harsh on me. And I'm like, bro, I'm literally reading on the paper what it says. It literally stating all this. I'm like, read it. Like I'm grabbing the paper and I'm like pointing at it, like, read it with me. He didn't like that. Now he has an attitude, and I'm sure he sees that I have priors. Now it becomes like we kind of have tension with each other. He's talking back and forth for me, and I just tell him at one point, I'm like, listen, I didn't call you here for this. I called you here so that you can bring these papers and so I can civilly try to see my son. Please, can you do that? And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go help you see your son. I said, yeah. And then I responded with an attitude, yeah, well, go do your job. So the man left and returned like 45 minutes with the title to the car, which the title to the car that I was in was my baby mama's car. But she had left, mind you, I paid insurance. I'm the one who the car was, bro. Me and her, I went through hell with that car. And when we started the business, guy, I was streaming. I used that vehicle to go pick up my product. Like without that car, I couldn't go to Orlando and stuff. And she knew that. If you go look up my LLC from last year, she was the registered owner. We were gonna make that fucking vehicle a business operated vehicle. Had a LLC, we had the business bank account, we was doing everything right. I was paying the bills, like I was on the insurance. I received the thing to renew the registration for the car. So it's like I called the police before when we had broken up because when she had left, that's another thing I forgot to tell you. When she had left, I was in that car. I called the police and I asked them, I said, listen, if I drive this car around and she tries to report it stolen, how would that go about it? They said that won't happen. It's civil, especially if I'm on the insurance. So mind you, I'm thinking I'm okay to drive the car. I've been driving it for weeks. Nothing happened. She never not reached out to me, not once. The only thing that happened was her power tripping dad was trying to send one of his peoples to the car to pick it up with a tow truck. But I'm like, nah, y'all ain't. I want her to come. If it's her car, she should be coming to pick it up. I haven't heard nothing from her yet. Last thing I heard from her mouth was you could keep the car. Straight up, was you
Hmm.
could keep the car. All right, bet. So now I'm driving the car and I got hired a lawyer. I'm thinking everything's good. So I called the police for a civil the argument. He comes back with the title. He's like, so I made contact with her father, and he says that's what he's telling me. So mind you, I didn't care at that point. I didn't care what the fuck he had to say because you ain't come in contact with her, came in contact with the father. This is not what you was called out here for. So I turned around and go towards my vehicle and grab the lawyer retainer that I had to present it to the lawyer. Let him know, like, listen, I have a lawyer. You break my rights, you violate me or anything, bro. As soon as I turn around and go do anything, that's what's in my mind. Hey, turn around. Don't stop resisting. Pick me up, slam me on the floor, started telling me, stop resisting, stop resisting. I'm like, I couldn't believe this shit happened so fast. Like, I should be able to maneuver, like walk. I wasn't in no threat or nothing. I'm not thinking anything. Stop resisting, stop resisting. He's screaming at. I'm like, yo, bro, are you fucking serious right now? And his response to me, you're not so tough now, you are, you little bitch. You're not so tough. I'm like, I couldn't believe this shit now, bro. Bro, I just could not believe this. So he's telling me this. I'm like, bro, you got that? I'm like, letting him know you got that. Like, I stopped, trying to like, cause I was trying to understand. It comes in where you're shocked. You're not expecting none of this shit. I'm not expecting my rights to get violated. I turn around thinking I'm good with you to grab a paper to show you. You pick me up, slam me on the floor, start yelling, stop resisting, and then tell me I'm not so tough now, bitch. Like that shit was shocking to me, bro. Like that was something that I had to really experience. So now I'm like, bro, are you right? I'm in shock. I'm asking him, bro, are you really violating my rights right now? He's telling me, shut up, bitch. I'm like, so now I have to be submissive. Because I have no choice, bro. You putting handcuffs on me. I've been through this already. I submit to it. I'm like, you know what? I'm staying quiet. So I'm staying quiet. I'm staying quiet. The police gets there and stuff like he's putting me now in the back of his cop car. I'm just quiet. I'm like, man, I want to speak to your supervisor. I want to speak to your lieutenant. He's like, oh, you want to speak to my lieutenant? Don't worry about it. So he's now I'm in the back of the cop car, put handcuffs on me. He hadn't shown me until afterwards what the fuck was in his hand. So while he's sitting there in the front of the car, he got in his driver's seat, jotting things up. He has the paper title in his hand. He's like, "That's not even your car, anyways." So I'm like, now I'm knowing like he's siding with them. They sat there for like 45 minutes talking to each other. Like the cop already don't like everything's turned against me now. So I'm just like, I can't say shit. So I'm trying
Hmm.
to talk to him. I'm like, bro, you're really gonna violate? So I'm trying to just now I'm like submissive and stuff. Now I'm just like, bro, you're gonna violate my rights like that? You're really gonna arrest me? He's like, now in the front of the seat, shut the fuck up before I put more charges on you. Say that you tried to grab my gun,
What were
you
the
tried to hit
charges?
me.
What were the charges that you stole the car?
No, obstruction of justice without violence ended up being the only charge they stuck me with, which is a bullshit charge. Lawyers said that they put on anyone when they can't prove something
Yeah.
just to arrest you. So that's what I was trying to tell. Like that's what I went through. So I'm trying to explain this stuff, deal with this. I'm like, how I can, because the only thing I could do is, so I'm trying to talk to him, like, you're going to violate my rights. Now he's got me in handcuffs in the back. I'm getting arrested. He's like feeling like he could walk all over me. Fuck you, bitch. You're not so tough. I'm going to put charges on you. Da, da, da. So he said to me, he verbalized to me that he was going to put, that I tried to reach for his gun at one of the, and at that point, I just shut the fuck up for real.
God.
I shut the fuck up for
Wow.
real at that point. I was quiet. I ain't say shit. So once he said that, it's in the police report, by the way. Like this is all
Yeah. Yeah.
facts. You can go look at. He did put it.
Yeah.
He put that I tried to charge his tool belt, which never happened. So I'm sitting in the back of the police car now, quiet, mute. I'm like, yo, I gotta be mute to this shit. I gotta be mute. I gotta shut the fuck up and wait for the lieutenant, because it was in front of Hardee's, which they have cameras. All right, this shit is all on camera. I'm gonna just shut the fuck up and make sure I ask for the lieutenant. Boom. Sure enough, the sergeant gets there. He talks to the sergeant, goes to the sergeant's car. They're there for like 30 minutes. He's talking to the sergeant. Boom. Comes back to the car. I'm like, hey, I want to speak to your sergeant. He's like, oh. And he laughs and smiles. Oh, you want to speak to the sergeant? No worries. Just like that. Casual as fuck. I'm like, what the fuck going on? Like, I find that a little
Mhm.
weird. So he calls, hey, Sarge, he wants to speak to you. So he comes to the sergeant comes to the back of the car, opens the door. He's like, what's up? I'm like, listen, I called you guys civilly. I'm telling him this. I have a lawyer. I called you guys civilly, okay? I wanted to see my son. He's violating my rights. You're going to let him violate my rights? He's like, as far as I know, you're getting hit with obstruction of justice without violence. He was like, he tried to come get the car, what he's saying, and you didn't give it to him. That's all I know. I was like, bro, that's not what happened, bro. He's like, well, you tell me your side. So he's like, I'm like, listen, I came here, I called you guys civilly with a piece of paper so that to try to see my kid to pop fireworks. He got into it with me. I called it a dick pissing battle. He got into it like that with me. I said, and I ain't gonna lie, I was being firm with him back, and he didn't like that. He left 45 minutes, came back, and just violating my rights. Like he violating my rights, bro. I said I called civil. This is all supposed to be civil. How the fuck am I in handcuffs right now? You explain that to me, Sarge. I asked essentially that. You explain it to me, Sarge. How am I in handcuffs? He's like, I don't know. He's like, what I do know is you're just getting charged with obstruction of justice without violence. He was like, you can take it up in court. I said, bro, what about them cameras right there? I literally looked. I said, what about them cameras? And I like at the drive-through, it was a camera pointed over here. This motherfucker, yo, you could lie detector test me. Swear to God, bro. This motherfucking sergeant walked into the Hardee's, spoke to the manager, and asked them to delete the fucking footage of what happened. How I knew of this shit was the arresting officer. was texting the sergeant, and I'm like, this, you in the back of the cop car, you can see what the fuck going on in the front. You feel me? And them, they're not hiding nothing. He's texting him. He was like, yeah, have them burn the footage. The arresting officer that arrested me is telling the sergeant, have them burn the footage, and they burning the footage. So when I got out, I tried to call. Guess what? No footage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I learned like through this life and through these curses, like that the gems what people say is true. Make sure you have the kid with the right person. Just all these things. Like I
Yeah.
remember growing up, being around certain people, hearing gems and stuff, and all those gems that was given to me, it sits with me now. And like now I'm at a serious point in my life where like I'm not into that sinful path anymore. I'm on a professional fight career path. I'm trying to stay away from the bad. I'm trying to get more sponsors, more promotion, more people to back me up, support me because I'm entertaining. I'm good at what I do. I love to stream, live stream. Like I have so much potential. And it's just about the right people seeing me, bro. The right person seeing in me, believing in me, and knowing like that's the tenacity we need. And that's the tenacity that I want to invest into because I've never stopped. Even through all the trials and tribulations, through all the oppression, through everything, I never lost faith, bro. Even when my baby mama and me was having kids and stuff, anybody, my baby mamas, anybody that knew me in Job Corps, anybody that ever knew anything about me or ever heard, whether it's good or bad, I guarantee you this is a fact. You ask them, does he love to fight and is he a good fighter? In those aspects, everyone will tell you 100% yes. There's not a 1% doubt in my mind that somebody will tell you otherwise. Even my people that I have issues with, my oppositions will tell you he fight like this is what I do, bro. Like so now that there's a platform, bare knuckle, what I love because I know how to throw my hands is something I can get paid. That's all I want my focus to be, bro. My streaming, my clips,
Yeah.
helping other people achieve and overcome everything that I had to achieve and overcome. Like helping others and chasing my dreams is all I want to do right now at this point. Like that's where my energy lies. The
So
content.
when we gonna see you again in the bare knuckle ring?
So I was hearing rumors February, and now I'm hearing I'm seeing fighters put March. It's anywhere from February to March. I know it's not gonna go past March. I know the fans are excited to see me come back. I know they want to see me fight. So it's just really just waiting. There's no for sure date yet. I know that it's been told to me February, no later than March. I know that I've been told 100% sure that I'm on the first fight card of the year at Hard Rock.
Yeah.
Another thing is too for an up and coming fighter, a lot of people don't realize I had to sell a lot of my own tickets and stuff like that.
Yes.
This hasn't been an easy journey. It's stressful, bro. Like selling my own tickets, getting people to come, being the hustler, being the fighter, being the obedient one. I take on a lot, and I love the pressure because pressure makes diamonds. But I do feel like this year I'm gonna be looking for a lot more support, a lot more investors, because I know that I could take things to the next level, man. Like this isn't a joke to me. Like I have all the means. I have the equipment. Not many people have to spend too much to invest into me. When it comes to streaming, we have the right connections, the right sources. Hey, bro, put them in. You got all the. You don't even need to buy anything from me, bro. I got the complete stream deck. I got the complete setup. It's about streaming content, helping others, and making it 2026 for me, bro. For real, for real. Like I can't. I want this year to be different for me, life changing. Like I came into this year undefeated, 2-0. I have a lot of hype behind me, a lot of people behind me, a lot of love behind me. I'm really excited to break off and shed the last little bit that needs to be shed off and transform into this new Super Saiyan that I know I'm gonna be this year. I know like this is some real evolution shit with me. Like I can feel it in my bones. I'm okay with being uncomfortable. I'm getting used to that feeling. That's a thing in this. If you really want to make it, you have to be okay with being uncomfortable
Hmm.
and going through things that aren't comfortable, things that you're not used to. And I feel like at this point in time in my life, this is the season that I'm walking into and I'm embracing it. I'm loving it. And I know that it's going to evolutionize me to be the character that I need to be for the sport and for myself, bro. I need to change for myself, man. I really do, bro. I need to break these curses. I don't want to be looked at like a problematic child or person. I'm a good person. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a thug. I'm not looking to be like that. I have a background. That's my family's background. I come from that. I come from hard hitting New Britain. I come from up north down to the south, from some of the hardest parts up north down to the dirtiest, ghettoest slums of of Florida, you know. So it's like I've been in the worst alkalized, worst environments, and I've surpassed. I'm comfortable. I'm happy. I'm looking to break chains this year, and I'm looking to grow with people who want to grow with me, honestly. And that's where my heart lays, you know. And honestly, I want to work on my relationship a little bit better with friends that I have. You know, I feel like in life we can get lost into things that we like and sometimes forget about friends that really care about us and love us, bro. And it's important for us to be there for one another and reshape these relationships. You know, we have good friends and family, people that we train with, people that we share business with ideas with, that I'm sure that we haven't even spoke to in weeks. So this year, I definitely want to be sharper, reshape my relationships, draw boundaries, and just chase my goals and help others chase their goals, man. And I think it's gonna happen. 2026, I think it's gonna be my year where I grow into this professional fighter, where I grow into my own skin. Now I'm 28 years old. My birthday was the 25th of November. 28 years old. I haven't hit 30s yet. I'm excited to hit 30. Most people aren't excited to get older, but I realize it's all reversed, man. This way that we think, we're supposed to be grateful. We're supposed to be excited to get older. It's more experience, closer to the next journey in life, whatever it is. You know, Anthony Joshua got into an accident, could have died.
Yeah.
You know, I was writing a status this morning. You know, that's why I risk take. That's why I live my life. That's why I don't care about being in debt right now. I may not have the most money. I may not, but I'm living. I'm
Hmm.
living.
Yo, man, I appreciate you, man. That's the story, man, and that's what I would like to have on this show is people telling their stories and the things that you've gone through because it shapes who you are today, man. But I do appreciate you, man. I'm gonna tag you. Your everyone. I'm gonna tag JC's Instagram here, so go follow him on Instagram and social media. Look forward to seeing you fight again come March, February, March, bro. But man, I appreciate you. I thank you for that story. People need
I
to hear these
appreciate you
types of
too, my
things
brother.
and learning about what guys are going through because I mean that by far is the toughest story that I've heard so far from a combat sports fighter.
Really.
And yeah, I mean I've heard some tough ones, and that one is probably the toughest. And so I salute you for
Thank you, bro.
battling through because at any point it could have gone the other direction, and you
Yeah,
might not be here. I mean, or you might be in prison for the rest of your life. So I salute you in turning that in your life around, and now you have a cause and a purpose, and keep fighting, bro, man. I appreciate you, man. Ladies and gentlemen,
I appreciate you, Rudy.
JC Rivera, Baby Hulk. Probably going to see him come February, March at the Hard Rock. He will have tickets to sell, as you heard.
Yes, sir.
That is a battle in itself for fighters. They got to train and sell tickets. But man, I thank you, bro. I wish you a happy New Year, man, and all the best
Same
to you,
to you,
man, my friend.
man. I want to say shout out to Ralph Sanchez as well, man. You know, they love us as well, man. And I hope that, you know, we can all come together and also, you know, just come together and create develop a plan that works for everyone. You know, like you guys are amazing. All you talk shows, I appreciate you guys showing us love, and let's just grow together, man. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this edition of Combat Corner, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and leave your comments, man. Again, thank you so much, JC. That's all for this one.
Thank
Come
you, my
on
brother.
now.
Up and down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. Up and down through the blood and the sweat. And I ain't close to being done yet, I'm going all in. Yeah, I'm going all in. And I ain't close to being done yet, I'm going all in. Yeah, they know I'm going all in. Through the blood and the sweat, y'all know we ain't close to being done yet, I'm going all in. I've been down from the jump. Ain't no love lost, we just really doing us. Go and take your seat, looking silly getting up. Y'all know what it is, let me tell them what it was. It was 24/7 on